It is time. The Fall Classic pregame. Astros, Braves, the Eagles fall this weekend. Is it time to tank? And around the NFL, and of course we got to mention it, the Sixers are in the Garden tonight with full fans, more than Philly in the house. Let's get it. It is the top of the 7 o'clock hour here on Tuesday, the 26th of December, 5 days to Halloween. Welcome back, everybody, to the More Than Philly Sports Network. We hope you all enjoyed our special broadcast this weekend. Honestly, kind of unexpected until late in the Eagles game. A unfortunate loss in Vegas for the Eagles. We already covered it on here. We are going to touch on it briefly today in our how we kick off today, our NFL segment and around the NFL, including that horseshoe-shaped team in Indianapolis. Oh, do we have some conversations to have about them today? But first, as always, my co-host, Gavin Toney. Gavin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Zach. Listen, it was raining cats and dogs last night. Your boy actually thought it was going to rain really badly today. And actually, Zach, it was pretty much dry for the most part. But all in all, Zach, I'm excited to be here. It's always fun. This is my favorite time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. World Series, baseball at its best. We'll get into that a little bit later. But, Zach, how you doing?
I'm good, busy. Some announcements will be coming in the coming week as to some of the increased work that I'm knocking out on the side. We'll talk about that later on. But, yeah, busy. Got a lot going on for us. We're back full time. It's great to be back. But more importantly, this is the final stretch of all four sports at one time. This is it, the World Series. And again, we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But we are going to start today's show with the NFL. And we'll talk for 5 minutes. We'll keep it short and sweet. The Eagles overall, as a team, not a great weekend for them. Offense looks pretty dead. The O-line continues to be inconsistent. The running game is not there. The coaching is a concern. Nick Sirianni's in over his head. I think that there are things that can be fixed. There are things that look promising, but not much. They are a team that they want to be in a position where they're going upward when they're really coming downward. They're a team that just doesn't have their identity figured out. And frankly, that's a problem for me. And if I'm Howie Roseman, who should not be here right now, I'm going to say that because there's some new reports coming out today.
It's about time.
Brandon Staley, who was the head coach of the Chargers, apparently turned down his interview with the Eagles because of concerns with Howie Roseman. Again, that Athletic article, it came out a year ago, Gavin. We were reading it in our high school sports stat class. We read that article last year around this time, that there are some power struggles in the organization, and there are some people that do not know enough about football personnel calling the shots. Now, if we had Justin Jefferson here alongside now Devontae Smith and, I don't know, Josh Jacobs or whoever else the Eagles could have drafted over Andre Dillard a few years ago, number one, would Doug Peterson have even been fired? And number two, honestly, would Nick Sirianni be having that bad of a time? It starts with your talent. If you don't have talent on your team, then you're not going to be a good football team. And we all knew that there wasn't a lot of talent because the O-line's banged up and inconsistent. And the quarterback play, honestly, has been horrible. It's been a lot worse than we think it is. And I'll talk about that in a little bit here and some of my concerns with the position. It's nothing personal. It's not to say that Jalen Hurts can't be a franchise quarterback. But the bottom line is there are tons of concerns with this team. There are bright spots. The wide receiving core is getting better. The Eagles are the fastest team in the NFL based on the average 42nd. I just learned that today. They are the fastest team in the NFL, which it doesn't surprise me. But there are a lot of things that need to be addressed for this team and moving in the future. Fletcher Cox had some words to say today. Jonathan Gannon had some responses, which they both seem to be friendly, so it's nothing poor in taste. But there are 3 or 4 names that I have in mind that I would have no problem trading simply because you get them off your cap and you have some top draft picks next year. I'll say it today. I'll say it for a while. Fletcher Cox, Wayne Johnson, Brandon Brooks, arguably Miles Sanders if you can get them off too. I'm willing to trade all those guys right now, no question about it.
No, see, I was with you with the first 4 names, but not the last one. Listen, Zach, Miles Sanders, in my opinion, you got to keep him around. Now, I know me and you go back and forth about running backs and being paid and stuff, but look, Zach, I'm not ready to give up on Miles Sanders just yet. I still think we haven't seen his best of the best yet because, Zach, you got to remember, when Miles Sanders enters the league and he joins the Philadelphia Eagles, this team hasn't been healthy since he's been here, especially the offensive line up front with Brandon Brooks in and out the lineup, Lane Johnson going down to 1 year. I think it was Jason Peters, the supposedly bodyguard who can't block a person that's on his all 4 knees that's running around. Zach, I know that made no sense, but I'm just trying to paint a picture about how he can stop anything. I'm not giving up Miles Sanders just yet, but here's why. Kenny Gainwell does look well. But once again, Zach, I'm not a firm believer in Gainwell just yet. I need to see more from him. I need to see consistency. Zach, we've seen consistency from Miles Sanders when he actually gets the ball. It's a shame that the NFL coach we have now is allergic to running the ball. Zach, I need to inject him with an EpiPen so he can actually run the football. It's insane. But also, Zach, what did I been saying? I've been saying the same tune about Howard Roseman. I don't know why we gave him his nickname back, Zach. That wasn't discussed yet, but Howard Roseman to me is still the problem here. It's like it's crazy how last year we read an article and me and you were kind of in denial about it. Zach, it was coming from a Panthers fan who we kind of thought that was out to get everybody that was not a Panthers fan, but the article has some interesting points and seeing it a year later, it is actually true. Now, I'm an advocate of firing Nick Sirianni already. I don't think he was the right hire here, and it's hard to say that my hire that I want to hear is not having great success right now. But I still believe that Eric Bieniemy was the right choice here offensively, and you'll get yourself a defensive minded coordinator that knows how to work with his team, and you go from there. You start from scratch. You build an offense that's not going to be allergic to run. That's going to do the simple. That's going to do the basics. That'll be created. Right now, it's the same stuff every week. I'm on the record saying that me and you together that have no experience making offensive plays or anything could come up with something better than what we've seen, especially when coming running the football. Zach, the stat that you countlessly point out is 25 when the Eagles run the football 25 plus more times, they win the game. They have a high chance of winning the game, correct?
They have one loss in the last 4 years when that stat is held true.
And they haven't done it. And let's see, this is why me and him could be qualified to do it because it's simple. Do the basics, run the football. Zach, I don't understand why in the red zone you're lining up in shotgun.
They haven't had a single play all year except for QB sneaks that was under center. It's a very vanilla college based offense.
And it's not, and that
you have a college quarterback, so maybe it makes sense. But
that still wouldn't fly with anybody else. Like you have to get creative. You have to do the right stuff. What made Tennessee great is they line up under center in the red zone. They hand it to their 50,000 ton running back who literally runs through everybody, and like that. It's like I go back to the Super Bowl year. The Super Bowl year, you had LeGarrette Blount, and you didn't pass him much in the red zone. Zach, this is the problem now. You have a coach that loves throwing the ball, and you have a quarterback that's a one-read quarterback. Zach, you pointed out yesterday, one read and it's a run. He doesn't care to look at the other options. He doesn't care. It's look at Devontae Smith or look whoever the play is designed for. Oh, he's not open. Let's run. And then Zach, he takes forever to decide if he wants to scramble or not. He's looking, and when he does try to look, he literally draws the play out to the point that sometimes I think he's going to run out of bounds. He's going to run out of real estate, run into the sideline. But what do I know, Zach? We're just spectators. Apparently, if this guy can coach football and come out and do the basics and do the basically nothing every week and never own up to it. Zach, and that's another thing. I hate the fact that Nick Sirianni doesn't own up to his mistakes. It's the same stuff. Just own up, be like, yo, man, I'm garbage. I'm garbage. Just call it how it is. I mean, seriously, Zach, how many times have we heard Nick Sirianni say, we have to look ourselves in the mirrors. We got to be better. It starts with me. It does this. Okay, you said one time it starts with me, and then you continue to deflect. Zach, he has 99 juke moves. Okay, he has 99 broke tackle for all my Madden players. 99 broke tackle. You can't touch him. He never will own up to his mistakes.
I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the hire at first. I thought that they hired him with the intentions of keeping Carson Wentz and getting the closest thing they could to Frank Wright. They just botched it the whole time. My final statement on this category, and we'll discuss it more later in the week as more things start to break, but if we're blaming Howie Roseman as the issue, I think it's unfair at this point to point the fingers at Nick Sirianni because there are bigger root issues.
Why not?
Because from the article last year, they would sit down with Doug Peterson every Monday. Why didn't you throw the ball here? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And they wanted to get themselves a guy who was not going to come in and try to run the show himself. And frankly, the best organizations are hands off, and the Eagles are not able to do that. So until further notice, the Eagles are what I call a poverty franchise. They're right down there with the Bills. They're right down there with the not the Bills. Correction. Ooh. They're right down there with the Jaguars, They're right down there with the Bears. They're right down there with some of these teams that have just simple incompetence in their organizations. But I will say this. Matt Nagy has, for some reason, stuck around after some bad years. Okay? Zach Taylor had some horrible years with the Bengals, 3 to be specific. They are now the 1 seed in the AFC. Pump the brakes on the coaching. The talent needs to come first. And then we can start having the conversation. But yes, Nick Sirianni's at very much fault here in the lack of preparedness for the team. Penalties have went down a lot. But
this is the difference.
Overall, there's still a lot of issues.
But this is the difference between these two guys, and then I'll end it like this because I knew we had to move on. Matt Nagy and Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor was on the hot seat because there was talks about him actually getting fired if nothing was good was going to happen this year. Especially
they got Jamar Chase. They got
Jamar Chase.
They spent some money in the offseason.
Jamar Chase is phenomenal. And you talk about Matt Nagy, Zach. I'm still trying to figure out how he has a job too. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky was just fine, so I don't want to. But you're right. People get to stick around. It's unfortunate, but I really don't believe that Nick Sirianni, especially in a city like this, will last for that long.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we are going to transition now. Honorable mention before we continue. At this moment, if you saw a stat line, Gavin, of 4,100 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions with an 102 passer rating, that sounds like an MVP caliber season, does it not?
It does.
That's Carson Wentz. That's Carson Wentz's stats. Last 4 games specifically. 8 touchdowns, no picks, and an 123 passer rating. He has a 102.8 right now. Okay? That is his best of his career. He is pacing for the most yards in his career. Granted, it is a 17-game season. If adjusted, it would be the second most. And his TD to INT ratio is absolutely insane. I've said this before, and I have 2 points on this before, Gavin. I get some of your opinion, and then we got to get the NFL scores. Number 1, Carson Wentz doesn't throw picks. Last year, something was really messed up going on inside the organization, the town as a whole, whatever you want to call it, that led to some of these issues. Number 2, no, it doesn't mean that Carson Wentz would have had the same success he's having now in Indy that he would if we kept him. But 3, he has talent, and the fact that people made it like he was a scrub is just flat out embarrassing and humiliating for anybody that understands this sport. And it takes the pressure off him early in the season. It took some time, but Carson Wentz is finally able to embrace his role, and that team is playing lights out. Say what you want about the game the other night. He still posed a 106.3 pass rating, 2 TDs, no picks, 150 yards passing, 66% completion in that weather. He outplayed Jimmy G. No, it's not hard to do that. But the man deserves a lot of credit for that. The Texans game, you can say what you want. But the Ravens game was very impressive. The Dolphins game was all right. He's coming around. He's turning a corner. And they have some big tests coming up. I hate to keep bringing it up, but I don't want to do it. I told you so. But Gavin, you and I, we stand on the same page. We know Carson Wentz was and always will be a pretty decent, if not great, quarterback in this league if he can stay healthy. There's one of your concerns as well. But as far as Eagles fans are concerned, the first-round pick at the moment, Carson Wentz has to stay healthy. He's got to keep playing snaps. They got to keep winning. They got to be good enough where they don't want to bench him to protect that pick. I think that we're looking at a good situation as Eagles fans to get that pick right now.
It looked ugly at start at the first sack, but then he picked it up with the win at Miami, and then you go home to Houston and you go to San Francisco. But but the one thing I want to emphasize is the run game as of late for that team with Jonathan Taylor. Zach, we talked about yesterday. He made top 5 for this year alone. Jonathan Taylor is I wouldn't say he's having a coming out party. If you didn't know who he was last year, now you sure as hell should know. Zach, Carson Wentz is playing like phenomenal. He's playing lights out. I saw your tweet last night where you said the media ran Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson out. I don't disagree with you. If you watch Get Up ESPN, Zach, I know you went to school last year for the most part. Get Up ESPN made basically millions off talking about Carson Wentz, running him through the mud. How broken is Carson Wentz? How broken is this? How broken is that? This man wasn't broken. This man was in a city that wasn't loved, and he was playing hero ball. Zach, you know what happens when you play hero ball? You throw a lot more interceptions because you're trying to do.
And I will say, I hate to interrupt you, but I do want to say this. Hurts isn't doing that, so he's not turning the ball over, which is good. But as a result, his completion percentage is lower. The offense is more scale. There's no choice. Neither quarterback was put in a good position here. There's a lot of issues bigger than Hurts, and I've started becoming more critical of him. But there's no rush because there are no quarterbacks in this draft. None. Nada. Zilch. Maybe Spencer Rattler has a coming out party.
No!
Hold on. This is how bad this quarterback class is. Maybe Rattler transfers to Texas, has a Heisman season, and then the Eagles could pick him. I don't know. Bottom line is that Jalen Hurts has nothing to worry about except for the mustache behind him. We got to talk about that in a minute too. But continue, Gavin, as you were saying.
No, I'll just end it on this note, Zach. The media did it to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is not broken. Carson Wentz looks fine to me. Zach, the first 4 weeks were rough.
Ankles, yeah. I mean,
the first 4 weeks were rough, but Zach, I remember I was really upset with Carson Wentz because of the heart, the will. Zach, that first couple games, Seattle wasn't his fault. The defense couldn't stop nobody. The Rams, I blame him because Zach, I get your ankles are hurting, but you gotta go out. Yeah. You gotta go out and finish that drive. You have the chance to go out and have the will to win. You didn't do it. That's why I was frustrated with Carson Wentz. I have no problems with Carson Wentz outside of that. I root for the man. He's not a bad person. I'm not going to sit here and bash the man personally because I don't know him. But Zach, for what we do see, lovely guy. I mean, Zach, the kid that was a big Eagles fan here, right? And he goes out to Indiana, meets with Carson Wentz, gets a chat. It wasn't one of those, oh, hey, how you doing? It was one of those full conversations. Carson Wentz went out of the game and came back and met with the kid again. So I don't want to hear about this bad personality stuff. That's dead to me. That's dead to me.
I said it. I've said it. I said it on. I'm gonna find the show because we said can we say one positive thing about this team, and I think it was right before Wentz got benched. And I said the Eagles had their quarterback of the future, and it is Carson Wentz. So rest assured, the rest will be fixed in this offseason. We all know how that ended up. So we can look at the past. We're not going to. We are going to keep moving forward and look at the Eagles team because that's the focal point of us. We are the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. But as far as Eagles fans go, we can only talk so much about the Carson Wentz scenario. But I will take a bold take. The Colts will have it will be one of those games where the score is close. But the Colts are going to get an early lead, and they're going to hold it against the Titans, which are probably the best team in the NFL right now, the Tennessee Titans, besides the Cardinals. So I think the Colts make a statement on Sunday. We'll touch base on that later in the week when we do Thursday Night Football predictions and more. I do have one request for the NFL. Stop putting terrible games on Monday Night Football. Last night's game was horrible. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but it is that time around the NFL. In a sentence or less, Gavin and I will break down each of these games. Browns, Broncos. Better coach won.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. There was no interest. No interest.
Titans, Chiefs. Oh, sweet revenge. The Chiefs knocking the Titans down 2 years ago, keeping them from going to the Super Bowl. Gavin, are you hitting the panic button on Kansas City at this point?
Of course, Zach. We'll go back to the conversation I had last week. I said if they don't beat Dallas, it's over. And Zach, that game is later in the season, but it's over. I think it's over.
Yeah, let's see. It's not looking good for them right now. Washington and Green Bay. You got the job done. You did what you had to. Heineke still looks promising, but not much else on the Washington side.
Heineke was robbed of a touchdown. I'll say that.
Okay, that was – so I have – my thoughts on that are that common sense should prevail. If you don't appear to be giving yourself up, if you're diving for the goal line, it shouldn't be giving yourself up. That was stupid. I mean, Heineke, I guess, should know that, but – it's a dumb rule as is, so you can blame both sides. Bengals, Ravens. Oh, how sweet first place must feel. The Ravens look like the best team in the NFL last week. The Bengals changed it. How about Jamar Chase? LSU product. Amazing by Joe Burrow. Just a great team overall. They had a lot. They cleared their cap space 2 years ago. Last year they got a high pick because Burrow got hurt. They had Burrow. And Joe Burrow has just been a great quarterback, great game manager, great playmaker with his legs. He's been terrific for them. Zach Taylor, the offensive coordinator from the Rams, who helped them get to the Super Bowl, he's coming around. It's taking some time. Cincinnati, it's a good city to. Honestly, it's not a dump. I'm not going to insult Cleveland, but Cincinnati is definitely more favorable to play in than Cleveland, I'd say. So it's not like it's been a city where people didn't want to go there. But Zach Taylor, more importantly, Joe Burrow, they are doing the right thing to continue to move that team forward.
It was hard to get people to go there because Marvin Lewis was big into hometown discounts and never wanted anyone to get paid. Zach, I'll keep it short and sweet. Jamar Chase is offensive rookie of the year, and it's easy.
Giants, Panthers. Sam does not do well in MetLife. Sam Darnold is not the answer down there. They're now in the Deshaun Watson conversation. Giants got to win. Congratulations, I guess.
You see how much running backs matter, Zach? Christian McCaffrey really does matter. I'll leave it just like that. We'll argue that on Thursday.
Somehow the Giants won without Saquon Barkley. But we'll continue that conversation. Falcons, Dolphins. Is Tua the problem? He threw 2 interceptions in the game. Yes, that looks bad. But I think that there are some issues bigger than Tua on this team. I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to fix those, but Deshaun Watson does make their team better. So if they can pull the trigger and do it, they have the ammunition to do it.
Health and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts had a monstrous game, and the health of the Miami Dolphins just deteriorates.
Jets, Patriots. Oh, my. 54-13. Robert Saleh, positive guy. He's got a long road ahead of him. Zach Wilson, injury. Eagles traded Joe Flacco to the Jets. He's expected to be their starter for now. Gardner Minshew now the Eagles back up. But back to this game. The Patriots are able to beat the teams that are worse than them, which is good. It's a step in the right direction, considering they don't have as much talent as some of their other counterparts. But they still have some work to do. They're not a playoff team this year.
54? That's it. I'm just 54. Wow. For defense, that was actually improving. The Jets, that was actually looking better in the past 2 weeks. 54 points. No more. Okay.
Almost 60. Should have been 60 if the Patriots kept their foot on the gas. All right. The game of the week, in a way. Los Angeles Rams, Detroit Lions. Oh, sweet revenge, part 2. Matthew Stafford, 28 of 41, 334 yards, and 3 touchdowns against his former team, Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, different story, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But, hey, good game for Matt Stafford. Glad to see him get the win. Another close one, another close loss for the Detroit Lions. They lose 28-19. They fall to 0-7. I will say this. If the Eagles lose this Sunday and the Dolphins win, then the Eagles hold the first overall pick in the draft by the Dolphins. So, if the Eagles lose this weekend, we might actually kind of be happy. Maybe not. They should be.
Ain't no damn moral victory in that. That's a pure embarrassment, Zach. I can't see. This is the problem, Zach. And first of all, just real quick, I'll touch on it. Matthew Stafford looked nice yesterday, but Jalen Ramsey on his birthday got interceptions, so that was kind of nice to see. I'll keep it short and sweet, Zach. You think draft capital, right? And that's nice to think now, but when Sunday hits and me and you are both
watching Sunday's meaningless. The second that I sat down and watched an Eagles game, I couldn't care less about draft capital.
Exactly. That's the problem.
At the end of the day, you want to see your team play hard and you want to see them win. That's what matters.
Exactly.
All right, next game on our list as we continue to break them down again. That was the Lions and the Rams. Bears, Buccaneers. 38-3. Fire Matt Nagy. Bucks look good.
I mean, Zach, I'm not even going to touch on what we witnessed. All right, damn near killed Justin Fields. I'll talk about the shout out to the guy that literally won the trade for over a touchdown ball given from Mike Evans and happy 600. Zach, what was it? $1,000 for
$1,000.
2 years of season tickets, Bitcoin. Man, he was a real winner of Sunday. Not the Buccaneers. He was.
Crazy. Expensive ball, that is. Texans, Cardinals. Cardinals win. DeAndre Hopkins revenge game-esque. 31-5. Great team beat a bad team. Nicely done. They play Thursday against Aaron Rodgers and no wide receivers.
Baby Yoda continues to show why they look, Zach. It's not about how you start, how you finish. Their test is going to happen this week, Thursday, which actually might be in jeopardy due to the fact that the wide receivers of the Packers are not there.
Yeah, and look, if the game happens on Thursday, which I anticipate it does, if the Cardinals do win that game, they will match their wins from last season. 8-8, they finished last year. They're 7-0. They're off to a great start, phenomenal start, terrific start, everything in between. Saints, Seahawks, battle of the backups, kind of. Winston is not playing like a starter. He is very passive and conservative this year. His interceptions are down. But as a result, they're throwing this team on Alvin Kamara's back. 13 points is not going to get it done against one of the worst defenses in the league. The Saints will not be a playoff team this year.
Just wait for Michael Thomas to come back. Alvin Kamara's back is already hurting, Zach. Can't do it forever.
Exactly. And final game that we want to break down. Colts 49ers, we already kind of touched on it with Carson Wentz, but how about Jonathan Taylor? 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 touchdown for him. Michael Pittman, 4 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown as well. I mean, I said coming out of that draft that Jonathan Taylor was the best player in the draft. And everybody said, no, it's DeAndre Swift, or no, it's Zach Moss, or a couple other names come to mind. I knew Jonathan Taylor would be great. Gavin, Marlon Mack wanted big money. He was their go-to guy a few years ago. They drafted his replacement. His replacement is excelling. My running back argument continues. But for the meantime, Jonathan Taylor, so much credit to the kid. He's playing phenomenal. The Badger product looked great, and he helped the Colts get a win. 49ers, on the other hand, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, it's bad weather, but 2 interceptions, my guy, is not good. But Elijah Mitchell, a running back that is not highly paid, Gavin, but also had 18 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown.
We'll have to argue
Why
this.
pay Tevin Coleman? Why pay Matt Breida? Why pay Raheem Mostert?
It wasn't good. It wasn't a good week for me.
They pulled a kid up the practice squad to put up 107 yards. That O-line played great. Battle in the trenches. The Colts get the win. They had the better one. San Fran is on the bubble.
It wasn't a good week for me to argue about running backs with you. I admit I got 2 games. I got two out of whatever how many games there was. Zach, I'll keep it short and sweet with this one. Jonathan Taylor's a monster, and Michael Pittman's there, and the defense of the Colts is starting to come together.
Everything is O-line. Quentin Nelson's back healthy. They've been banged up early in the year. They're coming together. Everything minus the quarterback, because I feel like I've mentioned him quite a lot. But the Colts as a team, they're starting to come together. It's been a long process. They had a tough start to the year. They still have some tough games coming up. If we take a look at their schedule, they do have the Titans. That's going to be a close game. But then they have the Jets and the Jags at home. Expect 2 wins there. They also have the Texans coming up, but they do have a couple of tough games in their schedule. So it's going to be an interesting team to watch towards the end of the year. So that kind of wraps up our Around the NFL segment. Coming up after this, it is time. The World Series is 38 minutes away. A Westchester area school district graduate playing in the game as well. A Henderson grad also playing in that game. It's going to be quite an interesting one to watch in Houston tonight. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that cold, brisk weather that we all love to see in fall baseball. But hey, 2 good teams are in it. How on earth did the Braves make it?
I'll tell you why.
Is anybody going to cheer for those Astros? One guy's right here. Stay tuned. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Let's break it down. The ALCS finished up the Astros' dominant victory for them over the Boston Red Sox after having 3 grand slams in 2 games. The Atlanta Braves, on the other hand, Dodgers just had nothing left. The Braves sucked them out and said, nope, you're not coming back this year. So let's talk about it for a minute. We talked about this at the end of the season. Our Philadelphia Phillies here in Philly, all they had to do, they had to sweep the Braves for a chance to make the playoffs. And they swept them early in the year. They won a few series against them. But the end of the year was different. And why? Sure, the Phillies heated up. Zach Wheeler got hot. Bryce Harper will ultimately most likely win the MVP award for the National League. But it's the trade deadline. That's what made the difference. Jorge Soler is a name. There's another guy, can't recall his name, Gavin. I'm sure we'll remember when I bring him back in. And then, of course, Jock Peterson. Those 3 guys accounted for 60% of the RBIs scored in this playoffs by the Braves. All the Phillies did was acquire Kyle Gibson, Freddie Galvis, and Ian Kennedy. You need bats. You can never have too many of them. And the opportunities were there for a team like Philly. The opportunity was there for a team like the Yankees, and they got Joey Gallo. But unfortunately, for some teams, they come up too short. The record didn't show it. But the Atlanta Braves, if you were to adjust them for how they played the second half of the year, they were an 100-win team. They are rightfully in the World Series. Freddie Freeman, their best player at the moment, he stepped up when they needed him. Dansby Swanson, what a play to end that World Series. Jock Peterson's been clutch. They've been as a whole amazing. And that pitching staff has vastly improved. In the offseason, they acquired former Tampa Bay semi-ace Charlie Morton. They also have developed Max Fried. They have an abundance of other guys in that lineup, in that rotation, that get the job done. It is no surprise to any competent sports fan that has paid attention to the league and knows how baseball works that the Atlanta Braves are here. They spend money when they need to. They make crucial moves, and they're great at developing. As a Phillies fan, I'm scared to even mention that their best player towards ACL. early in the season. I'm not cheering for the Braves in this series. Some people are that say, hey, it's the NL East, we should cheer for them. Or it's the National League, we should cheer for them. Or, damn it, that other team cheated, you should cheer for them. But I won't. If they win, will I smile? No. Will I be happy as a person that they overcame what they did and the city of Atlanta, which has been drilled with nothing but bad luck and bad misfortune over the years in sports, finally gets a championship? I will be. Will I be happy that Freddie Freeman's last year of his contract in Atlanta, that he could go out with a bang with a ring? He might even come back now. And all these other guys, Jock Peterson can go to another team and win it. Charlie Morton, a member of a team that came up short last year in a very unfortunate and sad way with Tampa Bay. So as a person, I'll be happy if these guys come home with the victory. But as a Phillies fan, I couldn't care less how many trash cans the Astros have used in the past. Only 4 guys from that offense remain. And the most famous one, who has been the center of this whole thing, Jose Altuve, evidently has been almost proven to have never even used the trash cans. There's a documentary from a YouTube account called Baseball Doesn't Exist. And then he goes in detail of the herd trash cans for each player. Bregman, yeah, you can, I'm not encouraging hitting him, but you can peg him every now and then, give him a little bit of pain. But believe it or not, Jose Altuve, I'm not going to sit here and make a case for his innocence. I can present data. We'll have a debate. Gavin is begging to come back on the screen. We will get him on in a minute. But as a Phillies fan, and a Phillies fan for one reason, I am cheering against the Braves, not necessarily for the Astros. But the Astros also can prove that they can win without cheating, at least the way that we expected them to be able to. And finally, and Gavin, I know you'll agree with this. Wouldn't it be nice for Dusty Baker to finally get a ring? He agrees with that one. That might be the only reason he'll be happy. But in conclusion, that is why the Braves are here and the Phillies aren't. And that is why I'm supporting the Astros this World Series, not the Atlanta Braves.
Zach, I'm conflicted. I love me some Dusty Baker. Zach, I actually watched the post game after they won. The joy in Dusty Baker's face and the story he told about Hank Aaron and his dad and everything is just lovely. If you hate Dusty Baker, I don't like you. Okay, Zach, I think that's fair to say. It's hard to know. It's like you brought up something that Jose Altuve never used a trash can or a buzzer or whatever. Fine, but you're telling me a fastball from Aroldis Chapman that was 101 magically he gets perfect timing. Magically he.
I think actually it was an off speed. That's what was tricky.
It was off speed. I swear it was a fastball. Zach,
was it? I'm gonna look it up. We're getting fact checks live, but Gavin, continue because I know you have quite the opinion.
So, Zach, this is hard because I used to rock with the Astros. And what I mean by rock with the Astros, ladies and gentlemen, I mean I respected how they were. Zach, they wasn't an overpowering team. This was a team that was built, constructed, and developed and got better over time. They beat the Dodgers, they win a World Series, they come back. Oh,
it was 84 mile per hour off-speed pitch.
Okay, well, you know what? If it was a fastball, me and you had to have a different chat. I'll let that slide. I'll let it slide. But, Zach, neither here nor there. Look, when it comes to this team, it's just hard to like them. It's hard to like them. It took George Springer for him to leave Houston to go to Toronto, and for me to realize, oh, George Springer is actually a great baseball player. It took me a minute to realize that Carlos Correa is actually still a good baseball player. Alex Bregman, Zach, you watched the documentary. Something fell off of Alex Bregman. But here's the one hard part that the reason Altuve gets hit the most. There was an MVP trophy that was stolen. To my guy Aaron Judge.
The trash cans that were heard were very consistent among some of the players.
The year next,
and it was not heard with Altuve.
The year after it's all said and done, why does Altuve have one of the worst years in his career? Fielding, hitting, and everything.
Well, fielding was because he was being verbally harassed, and it got in his head like any human being. He was being very verbally harassed, Gavin. And his stats the next year actually were from 346 to 316 to 298. 219 last year, and he's bounced back up to 270.
219 was the year I'm talking about.
219 was last year. 2020.
That was the year. That was because remember there was some chatter that in the World Series versus the National that there was some speculation.
He did have 7 more home runs this year than in his MVP year.
Maybe it's like
I'm not going to argue that the Astros didn't cheat. They did. They were very heavily punished.
I'm just answering your question.
The players weren't heavily punished. The organization was. And there's been a lot of turnover since. There's a new manager. And there's a lot more eyes on them for them not to cheat. And with all of those, you're telling me not a single one of your friends in the American League could win. You're telling me Aaron Judge and friends couldn't even beat the Red Sox to even dance in the party.
Well, first
you're telling me JD Martinez and Alex Cora and all these guys, they couldn't beat the Astros. The Astros aren't cheating. The Astros are a good baseball team.
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Severino. Listen to these pictures, Zach. Severino, Tanaka, and James Paxton. Severino had good games here and there. Tanaka had good games here and there, and James Paxton was flat out awful for crying out loud. They should have never even got him. That's why he went back to Seattle like the trash he is, and he should stay there. That's what that happened. And then also too, like if I can recall, the Yankees at the time were battling injuries. Aaron Judge, remember, Zach, if you go back to the year,
they were as healthy as they were all year in the playoff. Plus, you throw Joey Gallo in there. And you want to talk about cheating? You want to talk about cheating, Gavin? You want to talk about cheating? Garrett Cole's performance post-Spider Tack.
We
can agree on that. I know we can agree on that.
Oh, yeah, no. Garrett Cole was actually awful. He deserves and he needs to give his money back for this year, his contract back for this year alone. Zach,
he's going to steal the Cy Young from a couple other players.
I don't know.
If he wins it, he steals it.
I don't know about that.
But you're arguing Altuve, who didn't even cheat in the 2017 season.
Oh, Zach, look. Altuve was supposed to be cheating. I guess you could say he was the face.
He was the face, and he still is the face of it. Many people won't forgive him. But until you review, I'll have to send you the video because I know you haven't had a chance to watch it. But it's interesting because I did not like the Astros. I've been saying it all year from the cynical perspective. I think I said it last year too. I do want to see the Astros win again without cheating. From the cynical perspective.
The problem is,
it doesn't mean I'm going to root for them. But now that I've learned more about the scenario, I'm kind of rooting for them, especially since I hate the Braves.
But if they win,
it's a real title.
But
it's a real title.
No one's going to believe it.
You can asterisk up 2017, strip it, whatever you want to do.
No one's going to believe it. No one will believe it.
Why? They're under even more watch now. If anything, they should believe it.
I understand, but I'm just saying it's hard to change the public eye's perception about something when it's already said and done.
But it's a real win. This is your opinion, though. This is you personally.
You're right.
If they win this, it's a real title.
It's going to be.
Assuming that nothing comes. Assuming that no cheating comes out.
I hope nothing comes out. I mean,
I hope so. I hope this is an honest game.
Look, I love Dusty Baker. Now let me get into the World Series itself, Zach. I'm conflicted because as a Phillies fan, you hate to see this, right? But this is a valuable lesson, Zach, and this goes back to what I told you when the trade deadline happened. The GM of the Atlanta Braves, remember, Zach, they were 5 games behind us, and I want to say within 2 of the Mets, or not 2 of the Mets, or close to the Mets, and they already lost Ronald Acuna Jr., the best, Zach, one of the, arguably would have been an NL MVP if he played the full year. You lose him. Your team downspirals. You still have Mike Soroka still recovering from the injury. You got Max Fried. You got Anderson. You got Charlie Morton, who got obliterated earlier this season. But they said it nicely. Remember what the general manager said. You guys want to go all in? I think we can go all in. And what did they did? They went on. They got Eddie Rosario. Zach.
I have the list right here. Go ahead. They got Richard Rodriguez from the Pirates, Jorge Soler from the Royals, Adam Duvall, Eddie Rosario, and Jock Peterson.
They got hitters, Zach.
They got starters in the MLB for first base prospect, catching prospect, and Pablo Sandoval.
For absolute no disrespect to the Pan, but absolutely nothing really, except for him maybe. But Zach, all the Phillies had to do, and at the time they could
have made the same moves. Honestly, I would have loved to
all those players that they got. They could have easily gotten back. They could have easily brought them here. Jorge Soler is a great hitter. Jock Peterson is a lefty killer. I mean, Zach, he came up clutch when they needed him the most.
He's been huge for them. He has playoffs in his DNA. What playoff experience do the Phillies have besides
Bryce Harper?
Doesn't have anything deep.
Bryce Harper, Andrew McCutchen, Didi
They've
Gregorius.
been one and done though. Who's won a World Series on the Phillies? That's why they're not good. That's all they need. They need that veteran presence. They have players still in their front.
Is the only one that won.
That's it. But anyway, so let's get back to the World Series tonight. Astros, Dodgers in Houston. Let's pull up the lineups. As I mentioned before, a local kid, Chas McCormick, I'm not sure if he's playing tonight, but pretty much as a whole, he's from Henderson High School, went to Millersville. Pretty cool to see, at the very least, for local Westchester individuals. He had a good series in the ALCS, had a few starts as well.
I'm always rooting for the hometown kid. I mean, Zach, was Matt Ryan, Matt Schaub, I always root for Cam Reddish and the crew. But Zach, it's just tough because this World Series has such implications. You talk about a city that came close to almost going to an NBA Finals appearance, which no one thought they were going to go. You have a city that their football team disappoints them day in and day out, and this is the chance that they have. And it's like the reason why this pick is hard for me is because I love me some Dusty Baker, but this is also a teachable moment for the Phillies to say, you guys should have went all in. You guys should have went all in. You guys, when you had the chance to do it, you guys didn't do it. It's one of those things, Zach, where it pains me to do this, but I think I got to roll. I got to roll Braves here. I have to roll Braves here. It makes sense. It makes sense. And maybe this might motivate the Phillies at the end of the day to do better and to maybe wake up and smell themselves and say, we're not as good as we really think we are. As no matter how many times you want to manage and move the pieces around in the lineup and stuff, it doesn't matter. Your team is not as good as you think it is. And maybe you got and spend money this year and you go bring some people in. And it's like, I want to say this. Guys like Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies are striking at the right time. Besides Eddie Rosario, Jock Peterson, Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, and Travis Arno, these guys are here. Now, the reason why I'm not going Astros Tuesday, I don't know if you heard this news, Lance McCullers is out and he's not pitching. The Astros pitching, which was really repelled me versus when they were playing against the Boston Red Sox, because they gave up 3 grand slams in the series, 2 in one game. That is, if memory serves correct, that is the most given up in one playoff series alone. I mean, it's like you can't make this up whatsoever. And to lose your ace, and remember, it's like they don't have Justin Verlander, and Zach Greinke. I mean, neither here nor there. He had the shortest outing in history. I'm rolling with Atlanta here. Atlanta's on the hot streak. Atlanta's got the confidence. But I will say this: if it gets to 7 games, Dusty Baker will win that game. And if Dusty Baker wins, I wouldn't be mad. I would be mad because the Astros. But I'm Zach Dusty Baker. It deserves a ring at some point.
Well, exciting game 1 in Houston. The players in Houston are locked in and determined. As we go into it, I would say this. I think that on paper and practically at least, the Red Sox still have the better offense than the Braves, and the Astros were able to outscore them. So it's going to be an offensive series, in my opinion. Starting lineups tonight, just coming out a few minutes ago on MLB.com. Jorge Soler in the 1 spot, the designated hitter. Freddie Freeman, the first baseman. Ozzie Albies, second base. Austin Riley batting 4th, and the 3rd. Eddie Rosario, left field, batting 5th. Adam Duvall in center, batting 6th. Travis d'Arnaud, 7th. Going to be catching tonight. Jock Peterson starting in right field, batting 8th. And Dansby Swanson starting shortstop, batting 9th. They have Charlie Morton on the mound. And then Jose Altuve at 2nd. Michael Brantley left field, batting 2nd. Alex Bregman batting 3rd, playing 3rd. Jordan Alvarez, designated hitter.
Zach, who's been on the tear? Who's been on the tear as well.
Carlos Correa, another player who's been hot. Shortstop, batting 5th. Kyle Tucker, right fielder, batting 6th. Yuli Gurriel, first base, batting 7th. And yes, Chas McCormick starting tonight, batting 8th in center field. And Martin Maldonado, I know I butchered half these games, I apologize. But catcher, batting 9th. And then they have on the mound tonight, most likely Framber Valdez starting lefty on lefty. Freddie Freeman might have some struggles against him. Overall, I do think it's going to be a close, low-scoring game. I'll take Houston 4-2.
Zach, I'm gonna go Atlanta 3-4, but it's gonna be a wild ride at the end of the game.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends for
And
sure.
the
So
bullpen of Atlanta is way better too, Zach. With Will Smith and then the crew, and
Will Smith has been a great closer for them. They have to get to that point where they can use him. That's going to be something that we're gonna learn quickly tonight. Which team is better? I mean, you can't tell in one game. It is in Houston, so it's going to be designated hitters. There's going to be some extra bats in the lineup for Atlanta. So we get to see how this all fares out. So with that being said, that about wraps up the World Series. I'm excited. Fall Classic underway tonight, Game 1. This series should be over in 10, 11 days. That's a quick baseball playoffs move as a whole. October baseball, Gavin. We're there. Unfortunately, the Phillies are left behind, but hey, this is the best time of year for sports.
Zach, Red October, right?
Not this year. Not this year, unfortunately, but hey, the Atlanta Braves are there representing the NL East, so I guess represent it's cool. So with that being said, again, as we always do, scrolling through some of the latest sports news, nothing too much going on. We will cover the NBA more in detail on Thursday. I know we did not do that too much today, but we will cover that on Thursday in detail. And also, in addition, Penn State dropping to 20 in the ranks. They go up against a 5-ranked Ohio State this week in the 7th or 8th ranked Michigan next week. They're going to be unranked in the next 2 weeks. It's not going to be.
Can I just say this, Zach? For all my friends that go to state college that felt the need on their Instagram and Snapchat to post every touchdown score at the game. First of all, the only person I care about to hear from Penn State when it comes about football is Jake Starr. I love listening to his commentary, but from anybody else, I really don't care. Zach, I had the nerve to text our good friend Adam Waxman and say, I just laughed at him. I said, all this, we are number 4, more like we are not top 15 no more.
They sank quicker than the Titanic in those rankings.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Penn State, I mean, they've lost it this year. I think James Franklin's very much on the hot seat. Sean Clifford, they're wasting some of his talent, but he also hasn't been the best coming off that injury. So, look, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But with that being said, Georgia continues to be the best team in the country. Alabama beginning its climb back up after losing to A&M. We'll keep you covered. Everything here, all sports here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. With that being said, I'm Zach Starr. That's Gavin Tony. See you next time.
Go Braves! Only time I'm going to say it. Only time. I promise.
Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post